Part 2 is 3 minutes long, and Part 3 is 5 minutes long again. The purpose of Part 1 is not really to give you a score yet. It's to help you calm down. When I was an examiner, I can't tell you how many times that I would ask question number 1, can you tell me your full name, please? And the answers that I would often get are where people have a panic attack or they start to cry. And it's not just the girls who started crying. People put themselves under so much pressure and so much stress that they can't speak. And so if you are like this, you have no hope of getting the band that you should get. Your English level is here, but your band score is here because you can't perform properly. And so section 1 on the speaking test is just to get you to calm down and relax your mind so then you can give a good speaking sample for task 2 and task 3. And so in task 1, you just get a few simple questions, just fed to you one at a time. Do you like sports? Why? Do people in your hometown play sports? Why or why not? Are sports different between what men play and what women play? Why? Always very simple, very easy questions focused on you and your opinion so that you can, again, relax. Part 2 is where you need to perform your best. This is the most important part of the test. In Part 2, you'll get a question, and it will have 3 bullet points to it. You'll have 1 minute to prepare, where you need to put some ideas in to give your answer to this question. And then you should speak for 2 minutes without stopping. You must speak for the full 2 minutes if you hope to get a good score. So this is what we are going to be focusing on first thing when we start our speaking lessons. But the Part 2 of the speaking test is about 85% of your total score. By the end of that 2 minutes of speaking, the examiner knows your score within one band. They know if you are between 5 and 6, or 6 and 7, or 7 and 8, like this. And then comes Part 3. And Part 3 is an interview, where the examiner will ask you 12 different questions and listen to your responses. In this part, they are checking to see if you are 6, 6.5, or 7. 7, 7.5, or 8. Go ahead, Hen.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid that Mohammed Haddad is asking for another invitation, and he's not in my contacts. Would you please invite him once more?
Sure.
Mohammed Fauzi or Mohammed Haddad.
The meeting is unlocked, so can you send him the meeting ID again while I'm speaking, Hen?
Sure.
So then in Part 3, the 12 questions. And the examiner is deciding your score within half a band. By the end of this section 3, the examiner knows your score. He or she says, thank you very much. That's the end of your speaking test. And you will leave the room. The examiner writes down your score according to the IELTS band descriptors, which I actually forgot to post for you, but I'll do it as soon as I'm finished speaking here. And so, this is it about the speaking test. 3 parts. The first part is to get you to relax. The second part is 80% of your score. And the third part is fine-tuning the 0.5 for your total mark. And so that's really all that I have to say about the speaking part of the test, Hen.
All right, great. Thank you, Chris.
No problem.
I believe that we have to focus on the cue card, which is on task 2. Cue card is usually a card given to you, right? And then they give you 1 minute to prepare for your answer and to brainstorm your answers. And then they ask you to keep on talking about this very specific topic for around 2 continuous minutes, okay? And it's usually the most challenging part in the speaking test.
Yeah.
In part 3 or section 3, it's usually You can say that it's a philosophical, it's an extension to the same topic of the cue card, but it goes deeper in thinking because they want you basically to think in a deeper way of thinking. They take you to, like what we say, the depths of knowledge. Like they give you some analytical questions or some questions that need analysis, some kind of analysis, and you know, you can have further way or further method of thinking without thinking superficially. You have to think in the depth, right in the depth. All right, think like a philosopher in section 3. Okay. So now let's move to section 4, which is the writing section. Chris,
Okay.
I can't deal with Mohammed Haddad. Please try to deal with him until I finish the writing.
Sure.
So for the writing section, we actually have 2 sections, which is section 1 and section 2. Section 1 and section 2. It was so easy, by the way. But the point in this component of the exam, the writing, is that you usually need someone to assess your work, to evaluate it, to tell you what's right and what's wrong, what are your mistakes and what are your weaknesses, or what are your weaknesses and what are your strengths. That's why many people fail to get good score in the writing unless they seek a professional's advice. Okay, so I ask you please, guys, to do your best to get your work assessed and evaluated by someone who is better than you at English, so that you get yourselves familiar to the proper tips and tricks for the writing. For section 1 in the general exam, it's usually a letter. That's why we have to know what are the outlines of writing a letter. Okay, how to start a letter, what is the body, what is the conclusion, signature, and so on. And for section 2, it is an essay, and it's different types of essays that usually differ from one exam to another. They could be argumentative essay or essay that needs your opinion, you agree or disagree with or against. Okay, this whole test takes exactly 60 minutes. In these 60 minutes, you have, I can't say that you have to divide your time, because here you will only be given 20 minutes for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. Okay, so again, 20 minutes for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. In task 1, you will be asked to write at least 150 words, and in task 2, you will be asked to write at least 250 words. Again, 150 words for task 1, 250 words for task 2. And I know that the first question that might jump into your mind right now, or might cross your mind right now, is how would I count in the exam while my time is very short? Should I count, Chris, in the exam? Should I count my words?
Should you count your words on the writing exam?
Hmm?
If you write less than the word limit on the writing exam for either task 1 or task 2, you are doomed.
Okay.
There's no hope of getting the score that you want.
So
if you write 9 less words than the word limit, it is automatically -3 from your total writing band score. So if you scored 9, that means your maximum score can be 6. If you write less than
you have to cover your word limit, right? You have to cover
but
the word
to
limit.
do a good job, good job, to get a band 7 or a band 8, you must write, instead of 150 words, you must write at least 200 words anyways, or 230 words.
Is there a maximum limit to my writing?
There's no maximum word limit, Hend. The only maximum limit is the time limit. You must be able to finish your essay within the time limit.
That's why we always say, please watch your watch. Do not exceed or do not go over 20 minutes for task 1, please. Okay? Yes, Chris.
I was just going to say, and so this is why we train. So when you are doing your writing training, you make sure that you monitor the time. But we're going to get into this in the writing lesson more, so I'll let Hen continue now.
Sure. So yeah, thank you very much. So again, for task 1, you need to write 150 words. For task 2, 250 words. There is no writing limit, but again, as Kris said, there is a time limit which you cannot exceed. You have to watch your watch all the time, so that you do not take or you do not spend a lot of time in doing task 1 on the account of task 2. Not do this. So please take your time into consideration and always watch your time. Especially that you will be given only 60 minutes. They won't tell you after 20 minutes that task 1 time is over. That's why you have to watch your watch and to know exactly when to finish what. All right?
Wise words. Wise words.
Great. Now, once more, I don't know whether you know the score band or not, but our score band is from 0 to 9. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I believe that most of you are aiming 7+, right? Does anyone aim less than this? Guys, shoot for the stars, please.
Yes, you shoot for the stars so you can land on the moon.
Land on the moon? Why not landing on the stars?
Because it's pretty far away.
This is too far away. Nothing is impossible, Kris. Anyway, so you guys agree with me that 5 is the least we can get. Usually the beginners get this level or this score band 5, but for us, again, as I'm expecting, as I told, yes, Kris. What are you?
I just wanted to add, when it comes to the band scores, there's a line between band 5 and band 6. Band 5 means simple, incomplete English. Band 6 means bad, complex English. So if you are doing only simple grammar in your speaking and your writing, you're never going to reach more than band 5. If you do poor, complex sentences with lots and lots of mistakes, this is a sign that you are in band 6. I just wanted to point that out. Okay,
now another question could have jumped to their minds. What do you mean by a complex sentence or a complex grammar structure? I know that most of you are asking this question. For that reason, we have to move now to the first component that we're going to teach, which is the writing part. The microphone is yours, Kris.
Thank you very much, Hen. All right, so first of all, I want to just mention that we're not studying IELTS here. IELTS is a measurement tool, just like a ruler for measuring lengths of things. To understand how to use a ruler, you must This is the same as English and IELTS. If you want a high IELTS score, your English must be good. Your academic writing skills and reading skills must be good. It's got nothing special to do with IELTS at all. So first of all of that IELTS advice, all of those textbooks and all of the, if it's talking about something that is specifically a trick for IELTS, this should be a warning sign to you that you should be very careful about accepting this advice. And so our first lesson today is going to be on standard paragraph structure. This is the key to everything, not only just in writing, but in speaking as well, and in reading and listening. The reading test is also structured in proper paragraph structure. What I mean to say is that and one more thing. If your computer screen, if you can't see the edge of my board, then you should shrink your screen and widen it like a movie theater screen, and you'll be able to see the whole board. Also, if you are on your phone, which you shouldn't be, your phone is like this, the same problem. Turn your phone sideways or turn your tablet sideways, and you'll see the wide view. So, first of all, paragraph structure. Number 1, topic sentence. And again, this is not just for IELTS, this is for English. This is the way that students in junior high school, grade 7, 8, 9, in high school, 10, 11, 12, this is what they learn here in English countries for acceptable writing practice and acceptable formal speech practice. And also in university, this is what your professor expects that your writing looks like. So, topic sentence. Then we have main idea number 1. And with this, then we have support details. Detail 1 and an example. Detail 2 and an example. Detail 3 and an example. Then we have main idea 2. And we have detail 1 and the example. Detail 2 and the so, and one more. Again, M1, D1, D2, and the examples for them. So, right here, what you see on the board, this is a structure for a band 9 paragraph. You can write like this: your cohesion and coherence scores and your task achievement scores are at a quality of a band 9 level. Any reduction in the structure, anything that you take out, starts to lower your mark. This is perfection. On your essay, you need to write 3 body paragraphs that look like this, or 2 body paragraphs that look like this with some modification, but we're going to get into that later. So the key is, remember, 3 main ideas. Even on the speaking test. Where's my speaking test cards?
Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you please zoom a little bit on the board? I can't see what's written over there.
I can try to pull my camera closer. Is that better?
Can you just take a picture of the board and send it on WhatsApp on the group?
You know what? We'll post the video.
I'm afraid that it's clear. Is it Ibrahim?
Yes,
Yeah,
this is me.
Your phone?
It's okay. I cannot just see the writing properly. No problem.
No, it's okay. But I can see his screen very well. If you're using your phone, I advise you to please next time use your PC. Better than.
No, I'm using my PC.
So what's wrong with your PC then? I can see it very clearly. Okay, can you please click on Chris's screen? Chris's screen where it shows his picture.
Yeah.
Click on it.
Are you on full screen?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Speaker view.
Yeah, don't go to gallery view. Make sure you're on speaker view.
Oh, now I can see. Okay, that's better.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much.
You're welcome.
Sorry for interruption. Thank you.
Great troubleshooting, Hen.
No problem.
Okay, so anyways, this is the structure of a body paragraph. This is the most important thing that I'm going to teach you in this course for both speaking and writing. So make sure that you become a master of this. This is like your backbone. Think of an animal. We need bones if we want to have support for our bodies. If we have no bones, we can't be alive. Just the same as your essay. These are the bones of your essay. Another way to think of it is like a bookshelf. This is a bookshelf. It doesn't matter the topic of the books or the language of the books or the year that the books were written. A bookshelf is a bookshelf is a bookshelf everywhere. And then you have your ideas or your books that you must put in the bookshelf. And you arrange them on the proper level, and then you arrange them in the proper order. And so this is what we are going to be doing with all of our ideas and this structure. So after this, we've got our ideas. Now we need to join our ideas together with some grammar. And so we get to this point here. We've got connective words, words that join ideas. And there are three classes. The first class are called signposts. And signposts begin paragraphs. They start topic sentences. Words like first, second, in conclusion. If you use these words, your score goes up. If you use a lot of these words, it goes up higher still. If you don't use these words, your score is stuck around band 5. So, again, at the beginning of every topic sentence, you must include a signpost. After this, we have linking words. And linking words start main ideas. So we've gone from the most general, and we are now going more specific. We are from the outside of the paragraph, now we're moving to the inside of the paragraph. Here we have words like firstly, secondly, finally, thirdly. Also words like moreover, however. No, not however. Moreover, furthermore. On the other hand.
In addition.
Yes. Good.
On contrary.
Yeah, and also thanks for speaking up. I was just going to say this is an interactive lesson here. And so please feel free to ask questions and to discuss things. That's how we learn the best and the fastest.
On conjunction with
conjunctions, now we're moving on to conjunctions. Conjunctions are the lowest level, the most specific part. And so until this level, we've been talking about your cohesion and coherence score. We should probably talk about this for a second. On the IELTS band descriptors, to get your score, your writing is categorized into...
Kris, would you please allow me share my screen?
Yeah, please, Hen. If you've got the band descriptors up, that's awesome.
Yes, I do.
You've got co-hosting duties, so go ahead.
All right. Here we go.
So,
is this clear enough?
Perfect. Perfect. Can we, yeah, we've got the titles there. So if you see on the left side, the first column is task achievement. This is about how well you answered the question, about your ideas, if they are logical, if they support each other. The second column is cohesion and coherence. This means how your ideas join together and how well you completed this structure. The second half of that is these signposts and linking words. Then, when we move down to this lowest level, the most specific, we move out of the cohesion and coherence, and we move into the grammar score now. And so, the way to a high grammar score is conjunctions. If I simply say, I am Kris, I am Canadian. I teach English. I get maximum band 5 for grammar because who writes this way? Who speaks this way? This is the way that young children who are first learning to speak and children in grade 1 when they're first learning to write, they write like this. So if you're writing in this way, you don't have any hope of reaching a band 6. You don't even have a hope of reaching band 5, actually. What you need to do is put all of those ideas into one really nice long sentence. I am Kris, who teaches English and is Canadian. Now my band score moves up from 5 past 6 into 7 because I've got a complex sentence with no mistakes. When I can show I can do this regularly, now it moves up to an 8 for grammar. And so the key again is conjunctions. First we've got our, we'll start with the subordinated conjunctions.
I'm afraid that we can't see you now, Kris, right? We only share.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry. You can
like
end the screen share, Hen.
Stop the
end the
share?
screen share. Close it, please.
All right, sure.
Yeah, thanks for speaking up, Hen. I was going to teach the next hour with nobody able to see what I'm writing.
Right.
Subordinating conjunctions. Anybody? Which? While? Where? Oh, my writing is terrible.
Consequently.
When? Who?
After, before. Though, although.
Sorry, Hen, I didn't catch you.
After and before. Though, although.
After, yes, and then the time ones. Since, during, or after.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
Since. What's that? During.
While.
yeah,
Okay,
since,
when and while. Very good.
before,
Thanks for joining us.
after. And then on the other side, we've got coordinating conjunctions.
All right. Which are the fanboys?
Yes, exactly.
The fanboys who live in the compound?
And so, have our students heard about fanboys beforehand?
I don't think so.
So
Would
we've
you
got
like me to explain it?
fanboys. Fanboys mean for, and, nor.
Just a minute, Kris. Let them guess what's coming. Wait, just a minute.
Sorry.
Okay. Come on. So we
What
have
are the last two?
YNS. Yes, YNS. Who can guess? YNS. What does Y stand for?
The S is easy. The Y might be a little tricky.
Yeah.
Anybody with the S?
Y?
Oh, I'm very tired. I'm going to go to sleep.
Come on.
I'm very hungry. I want to eat.
So,
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very
Yes.
much. Hello, Mohammed. How are you? That's been
I'm
so long.
fine.
I last saw you.
So
Yeah.
what about the Y?
Y is?
I tell my daughter to clean her room 100 times every day. She never listens.
Does
Yet.
it? Yes.
Yet.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
There you go.
There we go.
Yet. For and nor, but or yet so. And so the secret of this, my subordinating and coordinating conjunctions, is to use them in combinations.
Can I say something, Kris?
Go right ahead, Hen.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I just needed to make something clear. I know that Kris has made it clear enough. Thank you, Kris, for that. But again, let me point out that there are 3 types of sentences. Simple sentence. These are 3 types of sentence. Sorry, Chris, for interrupting you, but it's a very important point that they have to know. 3 types of sentences, which is the simple sentence, compound sentence, simple, compound, and complex. All right? It's that easy. 3 types of sentences: simple, compound, and complex. You cannot use a variety. You cannot use only simple sentences in your speaking or in your writing.
Right.
Otherwise, you will have a very low score band. In that case,
that was my example. I am Chris. I am Canadian. I teach English.
Because you keep on stopping, yes, because you keep on stopping your reader or your listener or your examiner overall, you keep on stopping them each and every while. So please try to join your sentences with each other. These are simple sentences which are not very much acceptable in the IELTS exam, either the speaking or the writing. For that reason, you have to know how to form or how to make a complex sentence and a compound sentence. For a complex sentence, as Chris has just said, we need to use the fanboys, the FANBOYS. You cannot say, I am Hind, I'm an English teacher. No, join the 2 sentences. I am Hind, who is it, whatever, okay? So this is a compound sentence or a complex sentence. For a compound sentence, we have, always remember, and this is the way I teach my students. For the compound, I always remind them, who is living in a compound? Usually, those are the fanboys. Those fanboys are usually living in a compound. Just to remind them that the fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so, usually live in a compound. This means that this is the best way to form the compound sentence. I am Chris, who teaches English. I am whatever, or this is the soldier that fights in the battlefield. Understand? Okay? So, in order to make a compound here, and we know the difference between for and nor, but, and so, or you need more or further explanation?
No, we do.
Okay. So, for example, if I have 2 contradicting ideas, I usually join these 2 sentences using? Anyone?
Again, say it again, sorry.
Pardon me, I couldn't hear you well. Is it Minna?
Say it again, sorry. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Again, 4 contradicting ideas or ideas that contrast with each other. One idea and the other is a very different idea, unexpected.
Nor.
For example,
Like,
I studied much.
But, although,
Very good. But, or?
However.
Although.
Tell my children to do something, they never listen.
But or yet are equivalent, right? Okay, so
also.
Yes.
Also.
What about so? No, but or yet.
But yet and yet.
What about so? So is for consequence, like something happens as a result, something else happens. All right? So I studied hard, so I got a good score back. Okay? Okay, so for yet, for example, we just said yet, or is for choices. If you can tell your daughter or your son, for example, you can join me to the restaurant today, or you stay at home. This is to give him or her 2 choices. All right?
Choices.
Yes, 2 choices, and these are 2 simple sentences that you join using or. All right? For the complex sentence, as Chris has just said, we have some certain words that we call them the subordinate conjunctions. Subordinate conjunctions. By the way, the fanboys, we call them, Chris?
Coordinating conjunctions.
Coordinating conjunctions.
So, if you remember your prefixes, the parts that you put on the beginning of words to change their meanings, co and order means co is together. And so you join together 2 ideas that are equally important. They are coordinated.
Okay, great.
Coordinating means one is above the other or one is lower. Sub means under, like a boat that travels under the water is a submarine. And so here, The which, while, when, where, who, whose, whom, that, since, during, before, after.
Yes, these are the subordinating conjunctions. All right? Subordinating conjunctions.
Think about this example. I was eating supper when the phone rang. And so one of these ideas is a big activity, and one of them is a small event that happens during that.
Takes a short duration. Okay, that's good. Or we can have another example you can put in mind. For example, I am sick. I can't go to school. I am sick. I couldn't go to work today. I couldn't travel to my work today. So you can use I am sick.
So I couldn't go to school.
Which kind of a sentence is this? Which type?
Conjunction.
Okay, which
No,
type? We have three types. Compound and complex.
this is compound.
Compound, very good. Okay, what about the subordinating conjunction? I need someone please to make a sentence, two sentences going into the subordinating conjunction. If you look at Chris's screen, you will know what subordinating conjunction. Try to use them in complex sentences.
There is an echo in the
I believe it's Chris's microphone.
I'm going to, so I don't, okay, I'm going to mute myself here and see if that helps. Oh, did it clear up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay,
So guys, would you please, in a paper right now, try to use two subordinating conjunctions in two sentences, please. Make two complex sentences right now, and I will ask each one of you, what are your two sentences? As fast as possible. And again, watch out. Complex, not compound. Complex, subordinate conjunctions.
So the
Mustafa.
best way to remember this is don't worry about the names of these things. You're never going to get asked the name or what types of conjunctions are these. You're going to get a score for using them correctly. And so don't worry about the title of the list. Remember the words in the list. The same as this. You don't need to know that they're subordinating conjunctions. You need to know that you should use them as often as you can in your grammar.
So Mustafa, are you ready with your sentences, please?
I didn't prepare it yet.
Yes, please.
I didn't prepare it yet because I was listening to you.
Thank you. Let's move to Amr. Amr, you remind me with Ahmed Zuwail for some reason. Do you look like, anybody tell you that you look a bit like him? But nobody when he was young. Kris, your microphone is disturbing. I'm sorry to tell you so, but it is disturbing.
Yeah?
Too many vibrations come around, yeah. Okay, so Amr, are you ready? Mr. Zuwail, I'm going to call you now on, Mr. Zuwail. I can't hear you. Is your microphone muted, Amr?
Yeah.
Unmuted. I can't hear you. Well, this is not Chris's microphone. Say something. I can't hear you. This is your microphone. Your microphone. It's not, Would you please take off your headset? Take it off. Speak to the microphone direct to your PC. Nothing at all. Let's move to Hussein. I'm sorry for that. Hussein, are you ready?
What can I say?
Again, two sentences, please. Two complex sentences now.
I know, but I can't order my sentence.
Okay. So I will leave you 1 minute until I take Miss Dini. Sarah.
Okay.
Turn off the microphone.
What about the voice?
I
What
don't
about
hear
the sound?
I don't hear.
So I've muted everybody's microphone here for a second. So we stop this sound. So if you want to talk, please turn on your microphone, speak, and then remember to turn it off again, please. So who's speaking first, Hend? We can manage the participants by.
Sarah, please, go ahead.
I'm preparing for immigration.
So again, Sarah, please, sorry.
What's called? I'm preparing for migration while my friends are planning for doing projects.
That's a very good one. Thank you very much. Do you have another example, or one was enough? Look around you. Hey guys, if you're stuck, you can look around you, get any sentence from anywhere around you. If, unless, when, while, before, after. Okay? So Sarah, I will leave you to someone else until you're ready with another sentence, all right? Let's take Mohammed Fauzi. Unmute your microphone and speak up.
Who are you picking on, Hend? I'll manage the microphones.
All right. Hamid?
Ahmed?
Hamid is not here. Ibrahim?
It's Amer's microphone that's the problem, right?
Yes,
Ibrahim.
Amer's microphone, yes.
Yes, here.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Chris is who I really enjoy listening to his tutoring.
Pardon me, I couldn't hear you.
Chris is a fascinating tutor who I really enjoy listening to his lectures.
Wow, okay, that's a very nice compliment. What about teacher Hind? Excuse me, I get very jealous. Okay.
And during the lecture, Hens usually donates some great remarks that I really enjoy.
Thank you very much. That's amazing. Thank you very much. Let's move to someone else. What about Mustafa? Ready now, Mustafa?
Yes, ready.
Okay.
Complete the paragraph, but no problem.
One is no, we don't need paragraphs. So just need 2 sentences.
So I'm going to talk about a movie that I watched yesterday. It's The Marathon. It's 2015.
Mustafa, could you hear me clearly? I just need 2 sentences, not paragraphs. 2 separate sentences only.
Like, I am Chris, who teaches English on Zoom. There's a complex sentence, or I am Chris and I teach English is a compound sentence. Something like this. Make a sentence about yourself with one of these words, and make a sentence about yourself with one of these words.
Let me introduce myself.
All right, no problem.
My name is Mustafa Mahmoud. I'm a software developer working here in Saudi Arabia for 5 years.
See, now you've already used one of them. You said, I am Mustafa, and I am, then you mentioned your profession, right?
And
compound sentence.
Saudi Arabia for 4 years.
All right. Yes, he used for years as well. Okay, great. So thank you very much. Let's move to Amgad. That Amgad here. Hello, Amgad, how are you? Amgad, are you ready?
Your microphone is open, Amgad. No,
So
maybe he's shy.
Minna. Minna?
Okay.
Go ahead, Minna,
Yes.
your microphone's open.
Okay. Okay. I met Hind, who lives in the 2nd floor in my building. Okay.
Excellent one. Another one?
Another one, I'm Minna, who takes the IELTS course.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was great. Okay, so now let's move to the second or the Chris, would you please go ahead with your explanation? Now we're done with practicing. Okay.
So, now, we've talked about the conjunctions that we need for our grammar score. And the question is how to use them. And so again, we talked about that structure is the backbone of everything else. And so step one is to write the structure. Step two is put your ideas in the structure. And when I have all of my ideas, then it's very simple for me to join my ideas together with the words and make longer and longer sentences. In English, we have an idiom that says, don't put the cart or don't put the wagon before the horse. The horse must come first because it pulls the wagon. This is the same as structure and ideas and grammar. Step one is the structure. This is the horse that will pull everything else along with you. So once I have my details, I can put them into grammar. Here's an example. I'm going to tell you about my favorite colors. The first color I'll tell you about is blue. And the first reason I like blue is because the sky is blue. For example, when I look at the sky, it makes me feel free and peaceful. The second reason why I like blue is because my mother's eyes are blue. And so when I see blue, it reminds me of my wonderful mother. And the third reason why I like blue is because my wife always buys blue clothes for me, and so I wear them all the time, and it makes me happy. And the second color that I'm going to tell you about is red. And the first reason why I like red, for example, the second reason, for example, the third reason, for example. And then I like green, and I repeat the pattern. Another way you can think about this, do you know the children's toy Lego?
Sure.
Yeah? So think of each one of these as one Lego brick, one Lego block. And so one paragraph is made of 3 Lego blocks joined together. And to join them on a Lego block, it has the little dots on the top that hold things together. This is the same as your signposts, linking words, and conjunctions. Now, these blocks, you can't open a block. You can't take a block apart. If you try to take a piece out of this block, you break the block. It becomes weak. And not only is this block damaged, but the whole structure that you have been building with the blocks is weaker. And so in terms of your IELTS score, if your blocks are incomplete, it's like they have been smashed. And now your score is going down again. So very important to keep your blocks solid and strong, because then your whole essay has support and strength. And then you join them together with the linking words. You see how easy it is? Think of this like a chain. Here I have a topic sentence link, and a main idea, and a detail, and an example. So this is what one thing should look like. I'm going to tell you about my favorite colors. The first favorite color is red. The first reason why I like red is this, and here's an example for it. This is a proper logical structure. Your paragraph has 3 of these. And now, this is like 3 legs to support the topic. This is, again, a band 9 structure. It looks like this. It is strong, it is logical, and it is supported. If we look on the IELTS band descriptors again, for the task response score, it says you present a fully developed position and answer to the question with relevant, fully extended, and well-supported ideas. So this means support means you have 3 legs to stand on. You see my new microphone here? My microphone stand has 3 legs because this is the strongest support. So too should your essay. So again, this is it. If I start to take things out of here, my topic is not as well supported. If I take too many things out of here, it falls down. And this is exactly why students with great English, they score 8s in the speaking test. They score 6 and 6.5 again and again and again on the writing test. The problem is not with their the problem is not with their speaking. No, the problem is not with their English. The problem is with their structure. On the speaking test, they got 8. So that means their English is good. Their grammar and their vocabulary was good. But on the writing, they get a 6 or a 5. And so if we look at the band descriptors again, they get a band 8 for grammar. They get a band 8 for vocabulary or lexical. But they got a band 5 for their structure. And so 5, 5, 8, 8. What's the average? We might have to get Mena to do it for us. It's about 6.5. So this is the score that you see everyone complaining about over and over again on IELTS groups on Facebook. Oh, my speaking score is 8, but my writing score is 6.5. This is it. They followed bad advice off the internet, and instead of an essay that looks like this, they've written this structure. Topic sentence, main idea, main idea, main idea, example. And at the end of their paragraph, they have one example. But look at this. Does this support this? Absolutely not. This supports this main idea, but this is not related at all here. If you want to support these arguments, each one of them needs some legs to stand on. Think about, again, body structure. Humans are complex organisms. We have lots of different parts. Like this. This, what does this look like? It's a worm. The worm is one of the simplest forms of life. A human body is complex. This is a band 9 structure. Compared to this, what could you possibly give this if this is band 9? This is not even a 6. And so again, you get a 5 for having incomplete Lego blocks. So again, everyone who fails the test again and again and again, there are 3 reasons for it. This is the primary one, or the mistake that everyone makes. And it's not a mistake with their English, it's a mistake with the structure.
Okay, can I add something, Chris?
Go right ahead, Hend.
Okay, I usually teach my students too about the IV cows. Okay, you might ask me, what are the IV cows? It's just a word that made up. It's just a word that it just made up, okay? So that I can teach them what exactly should they remember when they do their writing.
Yeah, there you go.
No meaning at all right? I for ideas, V is for the voice, C is for convention, O is for organization, W is for the word choice, and S is for the structure. Okay, this is the whole thing about how to write or to make a very good writing essay. Okay, These are the points that you should revise after you're done with your writing. You should go through and make sure that you include each one of them. Ideas is one of the, Chris has just talked about the structure of the sentence, the structure of the paragraph, how to make a very good paragraph. But again, what really matters in the writing component, one of the most essential things that really matters is the core of your ideas, how good your ideas are, how right your ideas are, how far your ideas and how proper your ideas are, how organized they are with each other, how are related to each other. They must be relevant also to the top. Yes, please, Chris, would you like to say something?
Sorry, I was going to let you finish, but I wanted to add to it when you were done.
Okay. So
oh, go ahead, finish. Sorry.
Okay, pardon me. So for the ideas are really important to think about. Okay, so you must have good ideas to talk about or to write about, either to talk about in your speaking or to write in your writing test. For that, we need to know or to learn how to organize our ideas in something called, if you notice Chris right now, what is he doing? He's doing something which is called the brainstorming diagram. Is it brainstorming diagram, Chris? Or just
this is a mind map.
Okay, mind map or a brainstorming diagram, both are different names for the same thing, right?
There you go, yeah.
Okay, so for the voice, which is the way you're saying you're writing your essay, it differs from one genre to another. For example, you cannot speak in the same manner, or you cannot talk about to your friend in the same manner that you're writing an essay. They differ from one genre to another. For the C is the convention, and convention really matters. Convention is, are you putting your sentences in proper paragraphs or not? Are you punctuating properly or not? The punctuation marks, because as we all know, punctuation marks really count in the writing component. Organization, do you organize your ideas? How far your ideas are organized? Your paragraphs are organized. Also your thoughts and your words, how far are they organized to each other? Word choice is, again, one thing which is really matters, how strong vocabulary, or how well your vocabulary words are, how strong your vocabulary words are. Are you using weak vocabulary words, or you're using high range of vocabulary words, which will add much to your writing? And finally, the structure, the grammar structure. Are you using simple, compound, complex sentence, a variety of these sentences together? And definitely a variety of sentences is what gives you the highest. All right, Chris, I'm done. Please go ahead.
Okay, so here's another representation of a perfect essay, a band 9 essay with a conclusion on the bottom. So we start with our introduction paragraph. Body paragraph 1. We've got 3 main ideas. Each main idea has 3 details, and each one of those details should, in a perfect world, it has 3 examples. We were talking about mathematics earlier. This structure is called a fractal. It can go on forever, always dividing by 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. And so this is just like grammar is logic and mathematics. You can express a paragraph as math formulas. So if you've got the proper formula, it's the secret for success, like that horse pulling the cart again. And so, why is this so important? We'll move on and talk about the vocabulary now for it, which is the 3rd column on the band descriptors. So, look at all of the detail here. I've got the biggest ideas about themes, about feelings, emotions, all of these large things. And then I move down to another layer, and then to another layer. So I've got descriptions, and here I'm able to use my adjectives and adverbs and things to describe my ideas. And then down below at the smallest level, I'm giving real life examples. And so again, I'm showing lots of different vocabulary, from the most general ideas to the most specific real life situations. In this way, my vocabulary score reaches on the band descriptors where it says uses a wide range of vocabulary. This is how you get a wide range of vocabulary. It's natural this way. It's organic. You don't need to worry about your vocabulary score at all if you have a complex plan. because when your plan is complex, it means you talk about everything. I was telling you before about the several reasons why people continue to score no more than 6 or 6.5 on their writing. And they do it because they sabotage their own papers with synonyms. I sit and I mark 100 papers a week, easily. And 40% of them should be band 7 or should be band 8, but they're band 6 because students have written a perfect essay. Well, not a perfect essay, but a good one. It's got most of this here. But after they've finished their essay, they've gone through and they've looked and they say, oh, I know a synonym I can use for that word. And they change the word and put a synonym there. And they find another one and they change it with a synonym and change it with a synonym. And this hurts you. You're killing yourself if you're doing this. Because the band 7, band 8, band 9 scores are about the clarity of your writing, how clear your writing is. This is not a vocabulary test where you want to show how many words you have memorized. This is a skill test about how well you know the words that you have already and how clearly you can express your meanings. So when I have switched things with a synonym, before my meaning was 100% correct, but I introduce a synonym. Synonyms do not have 100% the same meaning. If it has 98% the same meaning, you have reduced the clarity of your essay by 2%. And then you do it again with another word. And now the clarity of your essay is reduced by 4%. And this drops you down from the 8 to the 7. And then if you do it again with the third word and a fourth word, now you've dropped your clarity down to a 6. Band 6 for vocabulary says uses less common language or less common vocabulary, which are synonyms, but with several or some or many mistakes. And that is what describes the use of synonyms. This is a way that students are trying to manipulate their band scores. It is artificial. And you wrote a great essay up to band 8, you introduce synonyms, and now that score starts to fall down again. The perfect plan takes care of all of these vocabulary things. If you can write and express all of this, you naturally and organically have a high vocabulary or high lexical resource score. And very, very, very important to understand. Do not use synonyms in your writing for the purpose of introducing synonyms. This is putting the cart before the horse. This is manipulation. It's not growing. So that's about vocabulary. So we've talked so far about task response, or we will start with cohesion and coherence, which means my paragraph structures and how I join them together with my first, second, third, or I should follow the numbers, first, second, third, in conclusion, then my main ideas. Firstly, secondly, thirdly, now, furthermore, moreover, firstly, on the other hand, consequently, and then I get down into my grammar score with my subordinating and coordinating conjunctions, where I tell my stories and things and my real life examples, and I'm using my which, where, while, when, who, whose, whom, that, since, during, before, after, to make nice complex sentences down at this level. So when I do this, I fulfill all of these requirements. Then I move on to my ideas. And you see these chains? Look at this. Here's the body. Here are 3 legs. Each leg has the bones. and then the bones go into the fingers, and so we've got this great complexity of ideas. And we have the lowest level supports the next level. Then this is supported by all that. Then this is supported by all this. So this is my idea score, my task response score. It's a fully developed answer. It's got perfect structure. And so then my vocabulary is taken care of already. And it helps me with my grammar because I just need to plan out how to tell my story. And I have my 2 or 3 ideas. I need to join them together with which, where, while, and fanboys. So that is the end of the crash course in paragraph and essay writing. Actually, it's not. I forgot to introduce the structure of the introduction paragraph and conclusion paragraph. So we'll do that right now. Anybody have any questions first while I'm setting up? Want to talk about anything?
Kris, would you please allow me to give you a break explaining something else?
Go right ahead, Hend.
All right. So, my camera's off. Turned on. Okay. So, hello guys again. Okay, this is the way your paragraph should look like. Okay. Well, if this is the blank page or the answer sheet that you were going to be given, if it looks like this, then you should write in paragraphs. And I know that most of you already know how to write in paragraphs, but let me give you a short idea about it. Paragraphs means that if your lines are like this, these are the lines. And you know that you should write at least 4 paragraphs in whatever task 1 or task 2, at least 4 paragraphs. You have to divide it into introduction, body, and conclusion. For the writing, to write properly, first in the introduction, you have to leave a 4 finger space indent, please. 4 finger space indent. Then in the first line, you have to start from here. And kindly, do not leave any blank lines while you're writing your introduction. Once you're done with your introduction, please make sure you leave a blank line before you start your body paragraph. And again, you have to start your body paragraph after you put your, hello, anyone?
4 fingers.
Indent again. And again, the second line, from where should I start? Should I start from here or from here? From where I stop now?
The second line from the beginning.
Beginning of the line, very good. So again, a blank line to separate between the introduction and the body, then 4 finger space, indent, and then I go ahead until I finish my body, then a blank line, or I know that the body would take 2-3 paragraphs, depends on how many main ideas you want to include. So you may write 2 main body paragraphs, 3 main body paragraphs, but again, make sure you do not leave a blank line between them so that you give a good indication to your examiner that this is my body paragraph. After you're done with it, leave a blank line and go for the conclusion. And again, 4 finger space indent, and then you go ahead until you finish your paragraph, until you finish the last paragraph, and by this is the outline your paragraph should look like. Okay?
Okay.
Understand? Any questions? Okay. One more thing that I wanted to add, sorry Kris for interrupting you, which is Kris has just clarified something that in order to write a very good whatever, essay or letter, you should join your sentences together. So joining the sentences, you need to, again, as Kris has just said, to join your sentences together, you need to use either the coordinate conjunction or the subordinate conjunction. To join your paragraphs together, you need to use other words, which he already illustrated, Like, if you're giving contradicting ideas, what should I use? Who can give me any suggestions, please? Contradicting ideas. If paragraph one is giving the, if you're giving the opposite opinion of the opinion that you already have. So how can I start my paragraph, please? Any ideas?
On contrast, on contrary.
Okay.
On the other hand,
On the other hand,
However,
Body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3. To begin a body paragraph.
First. Very good. First, second, third. But again, Kris, that's good. But this is in case that you're writing consequent ideas, like ideas that are related to each other. But what if I'm writing 2 paragraphs which are contradicting with each other? You're just giving the opinion of the other opponent, the opponent's point of view. For that, you need to use other kinds of introductory phrases.
Can I interject, Hend?
Sure, sure.
So, these transition signals, they have the function of pointing the steps in the essay. To put simply one word here is to give yourself an opportunity for a band 6. This is the lowest form of success. If you want the band 7, 8, 9, you should introduce these in complex clauses. And so the first thing that will be discussed in this essay is what. Second, in opposition to that, what. Or second, on the other hand. You need to keep these time markers in your essay. Technically, something like however is not doesn't start a paragraph. This is a word that's at a main idea level. We need to introduce those structure. Which shelf of the bookshelf are we operating on? And then we can introduce the content or the idea level where we're talking about agreeing or disagreeing or things like this. But very important that we do this. If we mix them up and use them, we get the band 6, but we don't get up to band 7. Again, another example. On this level, we use the words first, second, third. On this one, it's first league, second league, third. When you show you understand the difference in levels, you show a higher sophistication or understanding of the structure, and this is what pushes that band score into band 8.
By that you mean to say that we have to differentiate between joining sentences together and joining paragraphs together, also joining ideas together, right? There are
different classes of words. Remember the signposts, the linking words, and the conjunctions.
Very good.
Signposts, linking words, and conjunctions.
Great.
When we use them at the proper levels, we show that we have the band 8 understanding.
Okay. Great. Go ahead, please.
Me? Okay. I wanted to go ahead with the introduction and conclusion paragraphs. So, it doesn't matter.
Is the outline of the writing clear enough? Do you guys have any questions?
No, it's clear.
No, clear. Okay. Go ahead, please.
So, whether it's a letter or an essay, it's the same. We do paragraphing the same. If you have noticed the letter before, the letter has 3 bullet points. For example, you should talk to your landlord and complain about the problems in your apartment building. So, the first paragraph should be the introduction paragraph of your letter, where you say who you are, what your issue is, and what specifically you want to talk about. This is the same as an essay introduction paragraph. Background information means the context for the whole topic or the whole issue. Then I have a thesis and a preview. So for example, we'll do an essay example first. The topic from IELTS about education. Should government pay for education, or should the individual pay for their own education? So we start out with background information. Since the beginning of organized education, there has been a big question about who should pay for it. There's my background. My thesis has my topic, which is education. That's half of my thesis. The other half of my thesis is called the controlling idea. This means what I'm going to think about the topic. The topic, again, education. But am I talking about the history of education? Am I talking about the difference in education between countries? Am I talking about technology in education or the future of education? No. I'm talking about who should pay for education. So that's my controlling idea. If you write a bad thesis sentence, this is another thing that limits you to band 5. Finally, the preview sentence. In the preview sentence, you list your topic paragraphs. So we said, I'm going to tell you about who should pay for education. First, we're going to discuss the side that says the government should pay. Secondly, we're going to discuss why some people think that it's the individual's own responsibility to pay. Finally, I'm going to tell you my opinion, which is that a mixture of the two is the best for everyone. And now here is very important. If this essay asks you for your opinion, another way they ask you for your opinion is to make conclusions. Same thing. Opinions and conclusions, same thing. If they ask you for this, you must list your opinion directly in the preview, in your introduction sentence. This is not a mystery novel. You don't want to surprise people at the end with your opinion. This is an essay explaining your opinion. So you give your opinion first, and then you support it through the whole essay.
Kris, do we have any usual phrases for giving opinions?
So I'll give you an example of the complete paragraph structure again. So since the onset of education. Hello?
I was just asking you a question. Again, do we have any phrases to use for giving your opinion?
You know what? I'm completely against memorizing phrases because it must be situation specific. On the IELTS test, memorizing things is a deadly sin.
Yes.
The examiner's instructions, when the examiner hears things that they expect are memorized, the instructions from IELTS are cut it out and ignore it.
Sure.
Do not,
I agree with you.
anything that's memorized, do not count it towards the score. So this means if you've memorized something on the test and the examiner picks it up, you're in trouble.
Sure.
If you do this on the speaking test, for example, you memorized a Part 2 answer, they're going to cut out your whole Part 2.
Yes, Kris, but again, please get me right. I don't say that we have to memorize sentences. I'm just saying that we have to introduce our opinion. For introducing your opinions, you can use words like, in my opinion, in my point of view, in my experience.
Sure.
I believe that, I think that, and so on.
First, I'm going to tell you about one side of the issue. Or first, I'm going to tell you the side that says government should pay. Second, I'm going to explain the reasons why people say that the individual should pay themselves. And finally, I'm going to tell you that I think a mix of these ideas is the best solution. So in this case, did I need to have a memorized idea, or did I just need to have a good structure and be able to explain it using complex grammar and long sentences?
Sure, not memorized ideas, just an introductory phrase to your opinion so that you give an indication for the interviewer that now and here you are giving your opinion.
Sure. And so yes, if we're dealing in the third body paragraph, which is going to discuss my opinion, then I would say, third, it is my opinion that, or third, I honestly believe that, or third, I strongly support, something like this.
Okay.
But again, depending on the situation,
Sure.
some will be better than others. I hesitate to say to students to memorize phrases because they're going to go out and memorize 100 different phrases and waste hours and hours when they could be working on their writing and speaking fluency, which is a bigger problem. And then after they memorize these 100 phrases, they only get an opportunity to use 3.
Mhm.
The same thing with vocabulary. Students love to learn vocabulary, and they're going to learn 10,000 different words. But there are a million words in English and the topics you don't know. So of those 10,000 words that you memorized, how many are you going to use in 300 words on a writing test? How many of those 10,000 strange and bizarre words that you memorized can you actually use in a 13-minute speaking test? And so memorization time is some time that you should be focusing on your fluency for, not on memorizing things. This is not a test of your memory. It's a test of your communication ability in English. Think about the martial arts. I used to live in China for 12 years and taught Chinese students, so a lot of my metaphors are going to be Chinese. Think about Kung Fu fighting. I can have the clothes of Kung Fu. I can collect all of the weapons of Kung Fu. But if I never practice using them, I'm not a master or I'm not a performer of this. I am simply a collector of things. If you are memorizing words and you're not practicing using them, all you are is a collector of words. You are not a communicator in English. And this is a very important point for students to understand because they fail the test and they go and they learn more words. And they fail the test and they go and learn more words. But their vocabulary range was never the problem in the first place.
Yeah,
It's better to have 10 words that you use well than to have 100 words that you use poorly.
Okay, and for that reason, I advise all our students to use words, whatever words that you're learning. Kris doesn't mean that you don't learn vocabulary, new vocabulary words. It means that you should or you must use them in the proper, learn to use them in the proper context. You must get used to using them in the proper context. You have to practice using them. Otherwise, you will forget them, and the whole thing will be only futile, just a matter of wasting time and effort. Right, Kris?
Sure, Hen.
Thank you. So, let's start practicing.
I just want to go on in your conclusion paragraph.
Sure.
Your conclusion is a mirror image of the introduction paragraph.
So now you're done with the introduction and the body, right?
Yep. In the introduction, you use future tense. We are going to be discussing what. In the conclusion, you switch it to the past tense.
That's a good value.
Preferably complex past tense. We have been discussing what. The first thing I told you was about the people that say the government should pay. The second thing that we had talked about was the individual should pay. And finally, I told you all the reasons why I believe that a mixture of things is the best way. And then a closing sentence. So that's what I can tell you about blah, blah, blah. Or so those are the description of the issues involving education and funding. Something like this. Again, this is your structure. When you have the proper structure, everything else becomes much more simple and easy. So there's your introduction and conclusion paragraphs. They're a mirror image of each other. So that concludes the English aspect of our writing lecture today. Now let's move on to the specifics of letter writing so that we can get you your homework in time. So, letter writing, actually I shouldn't have erased this quite yet. In the letter, you have 3 bullet points. These are main ideas. The overall structure of a letter. If you go on the internet and look for the structure of a formal letter in English, again, we're not studying letters for IELTS writing. We're studying letters, the formal, accepted, standard way of writing letters. So, paragraph 1 is introduction. You should say who you are, and what you want. This is the same thing as background information. My name is Kris&Hend. We'll give an example. You've got a problem with your apartment and you're writing a letter to complain to your landlord. So, first of all, I say, dear Mr. Whoever, my name is Kris&Hend. I've been a tenant of yours in the building called the Paradise Gardens. And I've lived here for 10 years. I'm in a suite number 249, which is a bachelor suite with a balcony facing the south side of the building. And I have several problems that I want to discuss with you. Preview. The first thing that I want to talk to you about is the electricity in my apartment. Secondly is the heating. And the third thing is the noise. And then we get into body paragraphs. And here on your question sheet, when you see the test, you get 3 bullet points. And here is where you address them, each as its own main idea. So the topic is, I'm going to explain my problems. Oops. And then, remember our body paragraph structure? We have main idea 1, the electricity. And detail 1 is going to be, for example, so the first thing I want to tell you is all the problems with my electricity. Firstly, the electricity goes on and off without warning at any time of the day. For example, last night I was trying to have a movie with my family and the power went out in the middle of the movie. This happens all the time and it's very upsetting for us and ruins our family time together. Secondly, I need an electrician to come because near my electrical outlet, the wall is getting hot. For example, my wallpaper is turning brown because of the heat behind the wall. So I really need someone to look at it. And the third point about my electricity is that I think my neighbor is stealing my power, for example. And then I go on to main idea 2. And the second problem that I want to tell you about is the heat in my apartment. You know that this is Canada and it's getting to be winter time. And so last year, the heat, when it was on, it was very low. I can tell you that I have a thermometer in my apartment and the law says it must be 20 degrees in my apartment in wintertime, according to Canadian law. But my apartment was only 16 degrees. This is a huge problem that you must address. Secondly, about the heat is it's not on all the time. For example, it comes on for 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening, and in the rest of the day we freeze. And the third thing is blah, blah, blah. And then finally, the last problem that I want to tell you about is the noise. For example, this apartment used to be a nice place to live, but recently you've started letting students move into the building and they are partying and they're noisy and playing sports in the hallways. So you see, this is my body paragraph 2, where I discuss all of the problems, all of the bullet points. And then I have my body paragraph 3 for the letter. Body paragraph 3 is for the time frames and solutions. Or if it's a letter, informal letter talking to your friend, you invited them to come to your house and now you're going to give the timings of it. Back to the apartment thing. And so, first of all, in regards to my electricity problem, I'm going to be, or I work from this time to this time every day. I hope that you get this problem fixed by the end of this week. And so please call me to schedule a time for your electrician to come. Secondly, about the heating problem. And again, you talk about times and schedules. This is the topic for body paragraph 3. This is the accepted way of writing a letter. Introduction. You introduce yourself and the issue. Next one, you define the problems. And step 3, you talk about your solutions or the outcomes that you want. And then comes your closing sentence again, or your conclusion. And so, Mr. Whoever, I've been telling you about all these problems that I have in my apartment, and if you want to keep me as a tenant in your building, I've told you the steps that need to be followed to fix these problems and offered you time frames that they can be solved in. Thank you very much for your consideration, Kris Enders. The standard form of a letter: introduce who you are and what your problem is, define it, talk about time frames and solutions for solving the problem. Or if it's an informal letter to your friend, again, hey buddy, it's been a long time since we talked, I hope you're doing well, I'm doing great too, blah, blah, blah. I want to invite you to my new home. Now you've got body paragraph 2, the 3 bullet points about talking about your new home, and then in the end. And so, now that I've told you all about my home, I want to talk about when you can come to visit me and stay with me for a while. And so during the summertime, I've got 2 weeks holidays, and I hope that you'll come and bring your whole family and stay with me. There are a lot of things that we can do. For example, at the beginning of summer, we can go to a music festival, and then there's another thing that we can do at this time, and another thing at that time. I have a new barbecue at my house, and in the evenings, we can have barbecue, and blah, 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 and you discuss the times and things. So I really hope that you're going to come during these weeks of the year, or during this time of day. And this is how you write a proper letter. So, introduction, discussion, and then times. Your 3 paragraphs for your letter.
Let me add something first before we finish this class. Okay. As Kris has already illustrated, we should start with dear in the letter. We should start with dear. Then,
so just a second.
Yes,
The dear and things on the IELTS test, the scoring starts after this. And so you don't need to put the dear anything, and you don't need to put your name at the bottom. All they're caring about is the body paragraphs.
Yes, but most of the times they ask you to write dear whatever, right? They ask you to write it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so dear, whatever, then you write whatever you would like to. Then again, here in the first paragraph, you should include your introduction. As Kris said, you should mention who you are and you go direct to the point. There's a big difference. I don't know whether you know the difference between the formal and the informal letter or not. There are some slight differences between a friendly letter and a formal letter. In a friendly letter, you can use contractions, you can use idioms, you can use some slang words. Unlike you can use also the punctuation, some punctuation marks, like the exclamation marks. You can show your feelings, okay? Unlike the formal letter. The formal letter, you have to be very formal. You go direct to the point, no slang language, no contraction. Contraction is instead of writing I am, this is not allowed to be written in the formal letter. You should write I am. And so for he is, she is, they are, I would have done or whatever, okay? So please do not use any contractions in the formal letter. So I believe by this here, you should write the introduction as Kris said, then your body, in the body paragraph, you should cover all the bullets that are required to be covered. And finally, you have to write the conclusion or the conclusion sentence that you should end up with. Finally, you should include yours, whatever signature, yours sincerely, faithfully, or whatever, okay? Yes, Kris, please go ahead. Done?
I was going to say what Hend is referring to is called register. It means speaking at the right level, choosing the right words to say to the right person.
Right.
So Hend is indeed correct. Write the letter to your friend like you're speaking to your friend. Write the letter to your boss like you're speaking to your boss. If you keep that in mind, you'll keep it straight.
Good.
And so I think that's probably way more information than you probably needed for today. And so I think we should just go on to talk about homework and how writing homework happens. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to pick a task, all right? Well, you're not going to pick a task. Let's just simply start with IELTS 12, general, task number 1. And so get the letter and you write the letter to me. This time, don't worry about writing it in the proper amount of time. All you do is start your timer and record how long it took. This is training. We're not studying here, we're training. Like an athlete is training for the Olympics. And so it's the process of going through the steps, which I forgot to tell you, outlining or brainstorming, outlining, and then writing. So for example, on a 40-minute task 2 question, what you know that you are ready to pay your money and take the test when you can do all of the planning steps in 30 minutes and the writing takes you 10. When you can complete everything like this, then you're ready to go for the test. Please, please, please do not try to do the planning and the writing at the same time. This is a sure way to ruin your task response and your cohesion and coherence scores. And again, this is why we train, so that you can get perfect at doing step 1, perfect at doing step 2, and perfect at doing step 3.
And again, no writing without brainstorming. First, you have to brainstorm your ideas, organize them, catch them, because they fly. As long as you're thinking is a continuous process. As long as you're thinking, some ideas may fly away. So please try to catch these ideas in a diagram, as Kris has just showed you. Okay, put them all in the brainstorming diagram and then start writing. All right, divide them in your brainstorming diagram, divide them into introduction, body paragraph, conclusion. Write what should be written in the introduction. Give hints. Do not write full sentences, please. No full sentences to be written in the brainstorming diagram. Just write hints for the introduction, hints for how would you answer the 4 bullet questions in the body, and hints for how would you put your conclusion at the end. Okay, clear enough? Any questions for today? This is a heavy loaded course today, and I believe that you all got headache, yes? How was it? Enjoying?
Enjoying that.
Again,
yes.
It went very, very fast today. There was a lot of information, and so
Yes, I know.
don't worry, you don't have the complete understanding of it today,
You don't have
because
to grasp
you're
everything.
going to write task 1, Cambridge Book 12, task 1, and you're going to send it to me. And I'm going to mark it, and I'm going to find every mistake that you make, and I'm going to give you a band score for each of the 4 aspects. And then you're going to take this and you're going to follow my advice and rewrite it, and you're going to send it back to me again for a second marking. And so now, at the beginning of our classes together, we'll spend a few minutes discussing your homework, and then we'll move into the regular lesson for the day. And so from now on, writing is going to be by email between us personally. And we're not really going to be dealing with big issues in the class setting anymore. It'll be specific to your own writing. We've got, who's the fellow that's studying the ATET?
I just wanted to add something else, Chris, if you allow me, please. One more thing which is very important. Please, while you're writing, before you write, try to print out the writing answer sheet, which is related to the IELTS answer sheet paper. To try to print out the PDF copy of it. And then after you start writing, I ask you to please count how many words do you usually write in each line. How many words does it take from you? Because, you know, some of you write in a big handwriting, so it takes 7 words average. Others write in small handwriting, so it takes 10 words average. For that reason, you have to count how many words do you write in average. And then you have to just try as much as possible to know how many lines does it take from you to reach the least limit, which is 150 words for task 1 and 250 words, so that you can exceed this number later on, okay? By this, you will shorten the time of your, sorry, Chris. By this, you will shorten the time, or you wouldn't need to count your words during the exam. Please go ahead.
I just want to add, if you are following my advice on paragraphing, on writing correct paragraphs, you are going to write well beyond the word limit. If you are only writing 150 words, you're not going to get more than a band 6 because you don't have enough ideas to explain. Even me, myself, if I'm going to fully write this out and use the highest level grammar to increase my concision and my efficiency with language, I'm going to write 200 words or 230 words instead of 150 words. On the task 2, 250 words, again, you're not getting more than band 6 because you simply don't have enough to talk about. You don't have enough ideas to get a good task response score. So that means your paragraphs are not complex enough to get a good cohesion and coherence score. It also means you don't have enough ideas to put together into long sentences to demonstrate that you can put 3 or 4 or 5 clauses into a sentence regularly to show that you have those highest grammar abilities. And it means you don't have enough ideas and enough levels to talk about to get a range of vocabulary. And so expect to write 200 to 250 words for a task 1. And expect to write 300 to 400 words for a task 2 at first. After you can do this, then you start to use your complex grammar to take out words and your number of words shortens. For example, I am Chris, I am Canadian, I speak English. I've got I, and I am, a lot of wasted words. When I use my complex grammar, I am Chris, a teacher or I am Chris, teaching English in Canada, something like this. Now I've reduced a third of the words in my sentence, and my grammar scores go up. And so, again, the cart and the horse. Step 1 is to master the structure. Step 2 is to reduce the amount of words that you use. But remember, if you cut things out of the structure, you cut the bands off of your score. This is a band 9 structure that we talked about today. If you reduce things, for example, you cut off some examples here, which is what people do. This is like cutting the foot off of your leg. You can't stand on your leg if you don't have a foot.
Right.
So perfect structure first, and then everything else comes from this.
Right.
And that's all I've got to say about that, Hannah.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much, Chris. That was really beneficial. Thank you very much. So what's today's homework?
This one.
Today's homework. Oh my God, you forgot.
You are asking us? Okay, task 1 from
Yeah.
I was asking about from when we're going to get the material. Are we going
The
to send it?
books are all in Jarir. Or if you would like me to send you an ebook version, that would be okay, no problem. I will send you the links from which you can use. But I prefer that you use hard copies. That would be better for you, so that you can underline the most important words that you should cover. One point that I wanted to add, having a hard copy book in front of you, a pencil to circle the most important words to remind you what you should do, is a very important thing. But anyway, I will send you the link by which you can download the ebook versions of all the Cambridge books, all right? But it's refillable. If you please go ahead, buy the hard copy. You will find them in Jarir if you are here in Riyadh. Jarir has all the copies and all the versions of the IELTS books, all right?
I'd like to add, while you're training, please ignore books 1 to 3. The quality of books 1 to 3 is not as high as books 4 to 12, and it's confusing.
Here in this course, we're going to cover, Cambridge IELTS 12, and you can also, for self-practice, you can use 8 to 12, no problem. 12 will do it here as a practice, also for home assignments. And you can use the other versions from 8 to 11 as a self-study, all right? Thank you very much for today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. Waiting for you on Monday, 8:30, inshallah. Is that convenient to all of you? 8:30.
8:30, okay.
8:30, is that okay?
We're talking 8:30 Saudi time, right?
Pardon me?
Okay.
8:30 KSA time.
KSA time.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it.
Sorry. Another last thing to say. One more last thing. Please send your essays to me before Sunday so that I have enough time to mark them and we can have a discussion about them. If you send them to me immediately before class, I have no feedback for you.
Let me help you, Chris. Let me offer help.
Say again, Hend?
Can we have the next session on a time, not 8:30?
How about let's talk about time schedules on WhatsApp?
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. What were you going to say, Hend?
No, I was about to offer some help in checking the writing essays. So
if you want to help me, Hend,
I don't want to. You can send whatever, or whoever would like to send his or her essay to me, please go ahead with that. No problem.
And if you have problems or you'd like to discuss things while you're doing your homework, don't be shy about contacting us. And we're here to give you advice and to help you go through them. You know, it's not an easy thing, especially the first time you do it. But don't worry, you're not supposed to be perfect now.
Right.
After you've done it 100 times, then we'll worry if you're not perfect yet.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Bye.